All right, thank you for staying with us. The conversation, as I said earlier, is about the speech of Mr. President yesterday commemorating the anniversary of Nigeria's independence, and he addressed a whole lot of things. But then, as expected, many Nigerians criticized the tone, saying maybe it's just rhetoric. Many persons have, well said, is reassuring, and some are indifferent on the matter. By the way, it's quite instructive to say the president started a speech by saying, fellow Nigerians, as I address you today, I am deeply aware of the struggles many of you face in these challenging times. Our administration knows that many of you struggle with rising costs um, of living, rising living costs, and the search for meaningful employment. I want to assure you that your voices are heard. As your president, I assure you that we are committed to finding sustainable solutions to alleviate the suffering of our citizens. Once again, I plead for your patience as the reforms we are implementing show positive signs and we are beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. In the course of the program, we, make you see the clip, some of the excerpt from the clip. Oh, by the way, we have been joined this morning by a public affairs analyst and, of course, a lawyer as well, Barrister Dapo Ogunwusi. He joins us virtually. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. And maybe I just say happy Independence Day in arrears.
Well, we thank God we can move on with
Yeah,
the
all
track.
right. And yeah, what do you make of the speech of the president yesterday, especially the manner in which it started? Some will expect that naturally she'll come with felicitations and, greetings, but it went straight into the matter. Some are having it, some are not having it. For you, what was it? Was it reassuring? Was it what you expected? What do you make of it?
Well, I think we have come to a point that we should stop deceiving ourselves. The problem with that speech was not the content, but with the reputation of the government. You see, if you have a people who have repeatedly told you lies, even when they tell the truth, you still find it difficult to believe until probably it is too late. This speech was well formatted. It started on a human note that you see this is somebody who is attuned with the suffering of Nigerians and who will probably do something about it if given the opportunity. But how many people believe it? And how safe is it to believe these people? That, I believe, is a problem. Anybody can say anything. You see, you look at the speech like possibly another in the long line of promises from campaign period up till now. You are saying Nigerians are suffering rising cost of living, dwindling income. But on the other side, you are talking, all your actions so far are in the opposite direction. Unimaginable expenditure on the neck of the citizens. 21 billion to complete the house of the vice president. A brand new jet of how much? Maybe 3 trillion. I mean, $150 million multiplied by 1,600 naira. That is what they spent on that new jet. I mean, look, the president's wife could go ahead and buy any number of jeeps, at the cost of 1.5 billion. Is she an official of the government? I mean, you look at all these things and you shake your head. How can these people still come around and argue probity, and argue tolerance, and argue that people continue to sustain the level of hardship in the country. It is a complete misfit. And that, I believe, is the problem we face. It's not good speeches or showmanship that is the problem. They have always had that capacity to talk fluently and impress people with all kinds of nuances. The real problem is credibility.
Interesting for you. So it's safe to say it's not all about what he's saying or how he addressed the people yesterday. It's about the person and the antecedent of the person speaking, especially the believability of the words coming from the president as well yesterday. And these are some of the issues. But then that one fair that is there, but still speaking and interrogating the matter. You have said the intro, which started on a human angle story, said, I heard you, I'm seeing you, I feel what you are feeling. Yes, it is true, but give us more patience, patience and patience. So while he was saying, I heard you, I'm feeling what you're feeling, he called for patience and then he went ahead, to talk about the challenges in which he came with. I mean, he inherited, and of course, what he's been able to do, and then the promises, the foreign direct investments, some of these things, winning the war on terror as well, and some of those things. But he appealed. Let's take it precept by precept, sir. He said he's calling for patience. He's just 16 months in office. Doesn't that count for something?
Look, Murtala Muhammad was head of state for barely 6 months. He changed the complete direction of governance. He gave the whole of himself and died almost poor. He left a government of the people, even though it was military. Things were so rock bottom cheap. And there was a lot of reform, civil service reforms. People were retired, people, some were dismissed. Everything in the life of the country was changed almost overnight. That is for 6 months. We have that model which nobody has been able to replicate ever since. So when you tell people that you have been there for only 16 months, do you know how many people could be killed by the policy of 16 months? So we have to wait for 8 years. Look, I mean, the comparison just doesn't fly in the face of reality. There's a lot you can do even in 24 hours if you are a serious president. So, okay, now let's look at it. 16 months. So we should wait for 4 years. And then what kind of economic policy is he telling you that he's trying to put in place? Forget about all the hardship. He keeps saying, things are going to be better. Things that we are putting in place. What exactly are the things that he's putting in place? Nothing. Then he said they have attracted 30 billion direct foreign investment. Let him break it down. I can bet my last penny, you will not find a credible 1 billion of real money that entered the country. And I want anybody who has the proof, who has the details. You see, it's like amoeba. It is not visible to the naked eye. The achievements of this government, they are simply not visible to the naked eye. I mean, they can tell us stories, but what we see on the streets is different. The streets are practically empty because people cannot afford to buy fuel. It has got to a point whereby people sit down and look at how much it takes them to get to work and how much they earn, and then they decide it makes better sense to go and resign. Look, come off it. Things are just so bad. And these people are obviously not ready. They are just not. There's a lot they could have done, and there's a lot they can still do. But I can assure you they are doing the exact opposite. They will tell you, they will just come and gaslight you with stories. When you interrogate the details, you'll be shocked. A lot of people did not listen to the speech. And I saw a lot of comments on social media. What did he really say? Who listened? Who heard anything that he was talking about? Did you please, can you tell me what he said? That is the kind of attention people now have for whatever he says. Because they know it's probably going to be another sheer waste of 30 minutes. And to me, it is so tragic.
All right, Barrister Ogunwusi, what you're saying now is that the level of patriotism amongst Nigerians have dropped, and even a new national anthem or reverting to the old national anthem didn't bring that back.
Well, you see, when you say some of these things, I find it amusing because that the anthem we have now is Tinubu anthem. It was changed overnight. It was the first time that the Nigerian Senate and House of Representatives passed a law in the flash and returned it back to the executive.
When you say it's Tinubu's anthem, what does the president tend to gain by changing an anthem? I mean, it's supposed to be for the nation. Is there any gains or benefits for the president personally?
I think it was grossly personal. There was no benefit. In fact, I think the old anthem, written by a Nigerian, that emphasized our unity as a people and our courage to surmount obstacles and achieve success, is far better than the British anthem we have now, which talks about though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. We are trying to forget our differences. Look, the other one starts by "Arise, O compatriots. Nigeria's call, obey." Then we now come up with Nigeria will be. There is more energy in the one that he dropped. There's more patriotism in it. And the fact that it is a Nigerian written anthem also recommends it far and above what the colonial document that was changed initially. And was there any complaints? Did you hear anybody complain about the national anthem? Probably his close set friends. Probably the British insisted that they wanted their own anthem back, and he obliged them. That, I believe, is the scenario. Look, what is wrong with a song? Don't talk about the national anthem, please. Because I have always thought it is Tinubu anthem. That's it.
All right, away from that, I'm just going to take a bit from what the president said yesterday. Quoting him now, he said, "My administration took over the leadership of our country 16 months ago at a critical juncture. The economy faced headwinds and our fiscal security was highly impaired. We found ourselves at a dizzying crossroads where we must choose between two paths: reform for progress and prosperity, or carry on business as usual and collapse. We decided to reform our political economy and defense structure." So according to Mr. President, it was either of two things. It was either for us to reform and make progress, or for us to continue with business as usual and watch our nation collapse. How do you react to that?
Look, I think you have brought me here to tell the truth.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember the same person you just mentioned, the president, saying that the money we use in servicing debt was too high and it had to be reduced one way or the other.
Mm.
Within 6 months that he got to power, he himself borrowed far more money than what the previous administration borrowed in 4 years. And there was never any reason for borrowing these debts.
Mm.
Nothing. There was, because what? Okay, he will still not pay salaries because according to him, the salaries are too large. It will bloat the expenditure of government. Of course, he has killed what you call subsidy, because it is. They say it is subsidy, and everybody knows it is not subsidy, because there is no subsidy at all. It is Nigerian oil that they have been using since 2017 in exchange for refined products. That was what was started initially in the context of importation of crude oil or of petroleum products. Before somebody started the whole thing and changed the whole thing and started talking about subsidies, but Buhari had the courage to reformat it to the whole formula. Bring in your fuel, we pay you back in crude oil. Nobody was paying a penny since 2017. They have not been able to deny that, but they still throw it at you and say it is subsidy. It is subsidy. It is just subsidy. It is not subsidy. Look, it is time for us to reawaken ourselves. Is this really the kind of government that we desire? What is their economic blueprint that they are talking about? What is the destination? If they keep saying, don't worry, things are going to get better, exactly, come and tell me in black and white. Which things are you talking about? What do you say would get better? Because I don't see any serious economic, industrial, agricultural reform going on. I don't see any serious program launching Nigeria on the path of industrialization, of capacity to manufacture and produce things, of massive improvement in our industrial and economic output. No, there is no program like that. About security, that's a shock for somebody to still come and tell you that he is doing anything about security. In the last 16 months, there have been far more kidnaps than in the previous period on the flip side of the scale. Far more kidnaps, far more attacks. Swathes of northern Nigeria have been taken over. I mean, you have surrogate governments. The bandits are taking over territories all over northern Nigeria. And that is why people cannot go to the farm.
Barrister Ogunwusi, now that we are talking, if I may button, please, now that we're talking about security, the speech of the president, said otherwise. This is what he said on that point. He said, on the security front, I'm happy to announce to you, my compatriots, that our administration is winning the war on terror and banditry. In that speech, our target is to eliminate all the threats of Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and the scourge of all forms of violent extremism. Within 1 year, he gave a timeline. Yeah, you could have maybe it on. We have it on our screen now. Within 1 year, government has eliminated Boko Haram and bandit commanders faster than ever. He was categorical about this. As of the last count, over 300 Boko Haram and bandit commanders have been eliminated by our gallant troops in the northeast, northwest, and some of other parts of the country. We have restored peace to hundreds of communities in the north, and thousands of our people have been able to return home. It is an unfinished business, he said that, it's still unfinished, which our security agencies are committed to ending as quickly as possible. As soon as we can restore peace to many communities in the troubled parts of the north, our farmers can return to their farms, we expected to see a leap in food production and a downward spiral in food cost. I promise you, we shall not falter on this. Barrister Ogunwusi, that is the GCFR, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces speaking there. So you should have his fact, isn't it?
I remember the recent story of an emir who was kidnapped, and they asked for a huge sum of money. I think the money was supplied to the kidnappers, the bandits, and they still killed the emir anyway. And to bury him, they asked for another sum of money. I think all this happened in Sokoto. Look, go into the records. Don't listen to what politicians tell you.
And you called it an unfinished business.
Hold on,
please.
Yes. You can't play the devil's advocate. At least when there are people who have been reading all this, who have been witnessing all these events, when they hear you, they will just wonder what you are talking about. The farms of northern Nigeria are still in the hands of bandits. In the main, maybe one or two places they just put up a show. There is a story of a bandit leader who got annoyed because the local military formation, the commander of that formation killed one of his cows, and then he increased his own tariff on the citizens. And in northwest Nigeria, they just pay up. They pay these people protection money. Should we wait until independence for the president to come and tell you they have done this, they have done that? Where is the evidence? I mean, when people have a proclivity to gaslight, you can't just take whatever they say at face value. Look behind you. Why did they ask the minister for defense to relocate to Sokoto just a few weeks ago? Was it to help them win the battle they were winning? Come on. They can say anything they like, it's their right. But it is up to us to believe the facts that that we know and we see. I'm not going to join that kind of bandwagon. Maybe they took a few, they did a few things recently and they were able to record a number of fluke successes, and so that it can look good and sound good. Everybody knows that the fundamental disposition of Nigeria's security is still in the red. They have not done what they should have done. I expected them to be saying things like this within a few weeks of their getting to power. You have large, portions of northern Nigeria are still in the hands of bandits as we are talking. What did he say he did with Boko Haram? That they have been able to eliminate Boko Haram. Do you really believe that? Is that true? Go into media reports, just punch in on Google, you will see these organizations still doing all these terrible things. And there is a government in power. Can you even go within Western Nigeria? Can you travel within Western Nigeria between one town between one town and another? After 5 p.m. in the day. Would you like to do that if you have a choice? No, sorry. They can say whatever they like, but we have to believe what we know to be the truth.
Well, would like to pause now to take an excerpt of what Mr. President said yesterday, October 1st, 2024, to commemorate the Independence Day of Nigeria. We'll take this excerpt and we'll be back to take your reaction, Barrister.
Fellow Nigerians, as I address you today, I am deeply aware of the struggles many of you face in these challenging times. Our administration knows that many of you struggle with rising costs and the search for meaningful employment. I want to assure you that your voices are heard. As your president, I assure you that we are committed to finding sustainable solutions to alleviate the suffering of our citizens. Once again, I plead for your patience as the reforms we are implementing show positive signs, and we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. My administration took over leadership of our country 16 months ago at a critical juncture. The economy faced many headwinds, and our physical security highly impaired. We found ourselves at a distant crossroad where we must choose between two paths: reform for progress and prosperity, or carry on the business as usual and collapse. We decided to reform our political economy and defense architecture. On the security front, I am happy to announce to you, my compatriots, that our administration is winning the war on terror and banditry. Our target is to eliminate all threats of Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and the scourge of all forms of violent extremism.
Barrister Ogunwusi, are you still with us? Now, that was Mr. President yesterday saying that his administration is winning the war against banditry and terrorism, and it's an ongoing,
unfinished business.
An unfinished business. You made mention of the fact that Mr. President is not speaking to details; it's just given blanket, a blanket situation or a blanket address on what's going on in the country. I'd like to ask you, what would you have expected Mr. President to say differently, especially when with regards to security and the issue of terrorism?
Good. The procurement of new equipment, new and effective equipment. The deployment of security forces in all of these nerve centers where you have these criminal activities. The liberation of specific communities. Name them so that these people can tell us it is the truth. Don't just come and gaslight people. Don't just come and say, you are doing this, you are doing that. When the situation on ground is in the opposite direction. Another thing, I said this earlier, that look, what exactly is the intended destination of this suffering? What do they want to achieve? Have they ever told you that by so period, they want to start producing 300,000 cars? By so period, they want to make sure that at least 1 million hectares of land is cultivated with basic food crops. By so period, no, you will not hear that because it is not on the agenda. And when they say something today, wait for the news tomorrow. They will do the exact opposite. They were talking of the United Nations General Assembly and the fact that African delegations were the largest at the National Assembly. That some heads of state came in New York taxis. In our own case, we sent a vice president and a delegation in 3 jets to New York And you can be sure that less than 10% of these people are needed there. It is not an election where you need to clap and vote. You only need diplomats and then the president or whoever is representing him. The previous one they went to, I think they went with over 1,000 people. That must be about the usual 3 or 4 plane loads just to attend the UNGA for a few days and come back home. They will collect extra codes. I mean, you will still come and tell us to continue to continue to exercise patience. In what direction? I mean, that is what Nigerians are asking them. What exactly is it you call this destination? What is this El Dorado that you are walking towards? What exactly? Tell us and show us how you have been pumping resources in that direction. Okay, we have started training 5,000 agric extension workers. We have decided to import 3 trillion worth of agricultural equipment that will be distributed across the 36 states within the next 6 months. I mean, those are the kinds of things you can tell people that this is the destination and this is how we are arriving at it. Not just that you just wake up in the morning, you jack up prices, you would see the naira gasping for breath, you turn away from that one, you introduce minimum wage. That is not even a living wage, and you are still dragging your feet about implementing it. And you agreed to introduce that minimum wage after a lot of negotiation, after a lot of rioting. But if it has to do with buying new jets, if it has to do with buying new jeeps for government officials, for their families, building a new vice president quarters, the money just flows immediately. They never have fiscal problem in taking care of themselves. But these are the facts. It is not that anybody is trying to gaslight the public at this forum. They are the real facts. I mean, they should not make us to be madmen. There is nothing they say which could be sustained by the facts available. They keep telling you that the programs of the president's wife has cost almost 1 billion naira. Almost, I think 700 and something million naira. Just for decorations and all kinds of things. For the president, the program of the president's wife. President's wife. Look, let's face reality. Don't just...
let's talk about another highlight of Mr. President's speech yesterday, where he made mention of being mindful of the next generation and also in galvanizing their creative energy towards a better future. He announced a national youth confab. It will take place for 30 days. It's a 30-day confab which will unite young people nationwide to collaboratively develop solutions to issues such as education, employment, innovation, security, and social justice. We had a youth conference in 2021 which held at the Velodrome at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. That's in the year 2021. But a lot of delegates that attended that particular conference didn't really speak highly of it. They believed that it could have been better. What do you think this particular National Youth Confab that the president has announced will address? He has said he's going to address issues as relating to the youth, but do you see it as one step towards addressing one of the challenges of Nigeria?
Well, there is no there, there is nothing wrong with trying to hold some sort of consultation as to how to move the nation forward, whether it involves youths or adults. But like everything they do, you have to take these things with a pinch of salt. You want to hold a program like that, what is the format? How do you want to generate the participants? He said that the youth will also advise him. So it's probably going to be APC Youth Vanguard that will be in charge. And they will come up with the ideas of those who put them together. They will never ask or seek to involve the real activists, the people who are agonizing on the streets of the country. Do you go and look out for whatever that program will yield? Because I do not want to condemn it, because you can't condemn something you have really not seen. I'm only just skeptical that it's just probably another kite, you know, to see if we could bring the younger elements, you know, back on the platform and see if you get them to cooperate and endorse and sing in favor of the government. Well, another perspective is this. If you look at the political class, they are good. They have whatever they need. The same thing in the judiciary. Judges' allowances are being, you know, transformed overnight. New quarters are being built for them, etc., etc. Security, that one is just way out of this world, especially in the leadership. When the previous service chiefs retired, go and look at their severance. They practically emptied the national treasury. To commend them for, you know, remaining loyal, despite the fact that there was a lot of reasons why people should be disloyal to them. So all of them are settled. The only people that are not settled are the citizens. So probably they are reaching out to a particular cross-section of our youth and looking for ways to bring them to the blue within the blue circle.
Barrister, with everything
you citizens.
All right. With everything you have said this morning, it seems there is no hope for Nigeria. Is there any glimmer of hope or any silver lining?
Hope for Nigeria, because no condition is permanent. There is always hope for Nigeria, and I pray that Nigeria would, you know, shed this toga of institutionalized dishonesty.
But do you see that hope with this administration?
Yeah, why not?
Because it's the renewed hope agenda.
No, hold on. They can change direction. When Deng Xiaoping took over in China in 1978, it is the same Communist Party. Even on that day, he himself was afraid that he could be assassinated, because it was in divergence with the general thinking, the general philosophy of the Communist Party organization. Yet he was able to lead a band of friends and supporters. He was armed. He had guns in his belt, just in case anything went wrong. They appointed him as the head of the Communist Party, and within 30 years, China moved from the back bench to become the greatest industrial power on earth today. That, I believe, can still happen anywhere, using any instrument.
Yes, we have to run out, Barrister, but I have two quick questions. You can do it for us in 2 minutes. And it's about the economy and what the president said. Then another one about the judiciary. And he said in that broadcast, the principle guided divestment transactions in our upstream petroleum sector, where we are committed to changing the fortune positively. As such, the ExxonMobil Seplat divestment will receive ministerial approval in a matter of days, having been concluded by the regulator, the NUPLC, in line with the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA. This was done in the same manner as other qualified divestment approved in the sector. He further said the more disciplined approach adopted by the central bank to monetary policy management has ensured stability and predictability in our foreign exchange market. We inherited a reserve of over $33 billion 16 months ago. Since then, we have paid back the inherited forex backlog of $7 billion. We have cleared the ways and means debt of over 30 trillion naira. We have reduced the debt service ratio from 97% to 68%. Despite all these, we have managed to keep our foreign reserve at $37 billion. We continue to meet all our obligations and pay for our bills. This is the president giving specifics. He said he was ambiguous in some part of the speech, but this is him being specific to talk about the gains, paying back on some debt, reducing the GDP to debt ratio, and the foreign reserve at $37 billion. You still think there is no improvement yet?
Yeah, do you want me to respond to that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go and look at the fundamental basis of all these economic figures. What happened to the price of crude oil on the international market? If there has been a dramatic shift, would there not be an equal impact on the fiscal health and the pulse of the Nigerian state? Your answer is as good as mine. That was what generated what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But come on, it is possible for people to just fritter away such resources. But they have decided to curtail their own responsibilities to the citizens. They have decided everything they needed to do to make sure they do not spend on citizens. They only spend on themselves, which is not a lot. I mean, it's far cheaper to pick out about 2,000 citizens, you know, National Assembly members, governors, presidents, judges, and so on, and service chiefs, and make them very wealthy to the detriment of the common man.
All right.
Those statistics, if you interrogate them properly, you will be shocked at, you know, it's not because of any policy that they have put in place. No. They paid their debts. What should happen to their debts initially? And how much have they also borrowed in the same within the same period?
All right, Barrister.
Did he talk about that? Did he talk about that?
All right. You know,
if you have money, why are you borrowing money?
Yeah. And
yes,
you know,
I live with you.
I'm
Why
afraid
do you
we
keep
have
money every day.
We have to go. Yeah, but we won't end this conversation without asking. You're a lawyer, a very reputable one, and of course, your years speaks for you as part talking about experience. We have a new sheriff in town right now. 2 days ago, Justice Kekere was sworn in as the CJN, and many persons have been talking about the judiciary, the need for improvement. You know, my Lord herself talked about the fact that corruption will never be, you know, be a thing under her watch, and it will never be heard of. For many persons, I be dicey, you know, about that particular promise to say, do we have an institution that can really rein in judges, my Lord, at every strata, federal high court, state high court, even to the level of magistrate, to know that we have upright judges? What do you think will be, in 1 minute, if you can do that for us, the task before my Lord, Justice Kekere?
It's a very good declaration of objective, and one hopes that she could carry it across, because it's a very deep problem, and I just don't see a CJ emerging from the present structure being able to do much. I have to be real with you.
That's quite an indictment, isn't it?
They can do a number of things that could at least move towards some semblance of sanity. Because one thing I've always pointed out about Nigerian judicial system, you stand in the dock, you are cross-examined. The judge only writes down what he wants to write down. Sometimes he gets tired and thinks it is irrelevant. Whatever you are saying, he waits or thinks he's probably got it in a cryptic form. It may suddenly become important, but if it is not in his record, there's no way he will take it on board. I think we need verbatim records. Cause litigants to pay a little more so that when you are in the witness box or when there is a proceeding of the court, it is put on record electronically.
All right.
That is not very expensive. That is one thing I believe can help.
All right.
To ensure, but something they have done, and it is not a career thing, it is an action of the Supreme Court.
All right.
If you make what you call a confessional statement, that confessional statement must be video recorded. That is fabulous. It widens, I mean, it minimizes the margin of error for somebody to just beat up an accused person, and then he starts to confess to all sorts of things at the police station.
All right.
Yeah, that reduces that kind of possibility. Yeah, they can do things along those lines. But about carrying out earth-shattering reforms, that remains to be seen. But if you look at what Kekereekun said,
we have to
go and look at what Ariwola said. Go and look at what Walter Onohen said. Go and look at what this, what's the name of the previous fellow? Go and look at what they said. They are just carbon copies. They have been repeating the same thing more or less, using different words.
All right. We have to go this morning. I will most sincerely appreciate you, a public affairs analyst and a lawyer, Pastor Dapo Ogunwusi. Thank you for your take and your time. And of course, it's good that you said we have hope, and if actually we will do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy independence.
Of course, we appreciate you. And that will be the size of the conversation. We have been reviewing the presidential speech commemorating the Nigeria's 64th independence, as was given by the GCFR himself, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday. It's an ongoing conversation. Nigeria, as we usually say, is a project. It will, it shall, it must never die. Femi Ojo is my name. And of course, we'll make a return tomorrow for another fresh edition of this program, Morning Spring. You can have a recap on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. God bless Nigeria. Evelyn.
And my name is Evelyn Ohiolei. Stay tuned for Spring Trends coming right after this broadcast.